I thought back on my youthful visits to the House of Time, on the cold nights in the cabin we now resided in. I thought of the old, forgotten halls, and the playful wonder exuded from the house's forgotten secrets. Mysteries hid in the shadows, and every corner could go on forever. There was one space that always felt like my own, a series of lofts in the guest room that I most commonly stayed in. There was one full of old antique toys and wonders for a child, but there was another one full of boring, everyday items that came to my mind when I recalled that time of my life. This loft went back further than the others and with a bend. Though it was packed full of stuff, so hard to navigate, discouraging me from seeking its mysteries further. The one time I did crawl over breakable boxes, go under and over and around in every way possible to snake back to the bend. Once I got to the bend, there was less stuff for me to crawl around, and I was able to move freely in the small loft as it started to slope downwards and then broke out into stairs. As I moved on, there were less and less lights available. They were further spaced, and it got darker and darker, until I was in complete blackness walking down a series of steep steps. It never even occurred to my young mind to turn back when I reached the cool wooden door. I pressed against it and opened it, finding myself in a small, old house. On my left, there was a living room, and on my right, there was a dining room. I walked into the dining room, watching how the very early morning light drifted in through the dusty lace curtains. But it was in the kitchen that I saw him, my father, opulence, staring out of the window. He noticed me and looked to me and said, "You ought not to be here." Suddenly I was in the house again, and I became aware of how vulnerable I was. I ran to the door and up the stairs, and all the way back through the loft. Squeezing through was a little bit more difficult as an adult. Finally, I made it to the final door out of the lofts to find myself back in the cabin.